Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Please trade with capital you can afford to lose. The views shared in this video are not intended as trade recommendations. This video's sole purpose is to be a personal log entry on which to gauge my own performance. Viewers are solely responsible for how they use this information and for their own results. Hey, what's up everybody? It is Monday, April 10th. I just want to show you what I would like to submit as the trade of the day here. For the ES, trading the June contract, and this is the 9:30 cash open. As you can see, we get a little bit of a chop and then a move higher, and a rotation back down through the mid here by a tick or so. And that's enough of a move to rotate back down to qualify this as the opening swing high, 56. Opening swing low, we never tested down here again, so opening swing low at 53.25. And then we see buyers step in. And although they stepped in what looks like kind of a driving formation here, it happened really slowly. We didn't see any real pullbacks, and it happened really slowly on low volume, lower than the 20-day average for this 15-minute interval anyways. And so that just didn't give me the conviction that this was ready to create a trend day higher or something like that. So I just kind of sat on my hands here and I wanted to see what would happen. A few indications here. We see this move up into high liquidity on the offer, and as soon as price starts to move up, you see them step aside, that little black slot there, they're pulling liquidity. This is fake liquidity. So we expect that on the next test to be pushed through. And we see this 2 ticks up, same thing happens. They pull, fake liquidity, it gets pushed through, and we get a little bit of a chop sideways here. And this is enough to shift the developing volume point of control up to this level. And as you can see, this is only 45 minutes into the regular trading hour session right here at 10:15. And look at this kurtosis on the histogram. Volume just falls off right here below this level, below, what is that, 58.25. It just drops. So I do expect this to kind of get evened out a little bit. I expect that we're going to revisit this area and just see if there are any buyers down here that are willing to push the auction up higher. So that's one thing in the back of my mind. As we continue sideways, we get an extension higher. Again, just not on great volume. You see a little bit of volume going off here, but overall, just nothing to write home about. Pull down, no real collisions in this area. For the most part, all these guys on the high liquidity, these are all pulling. So we get another move up. Same story. I'm just sitting on my hands. There's nowhere I can get in if I wanted to get long. I would be really skeptical entering a long from somewhere down in this area on the histogram. Not having visited below the middle of the range yet. And we still have yesterday's volume point of control, which I expect to be somewhat of a magnet down here. And the fact that it hasn't been tested quite yet, even though we opened so close to it, is actually gives somewhat of a case to the long side here that we would leave this little gap down. But yeah, just sitting on my hands so far. Let's play it out. And as this moves forward, we're going to see higher highs. And we still haven't gotten really a decent pullback yet. All these areas, we're getting higher highs, higher lows, and something interesting that happens here. We get a push up. I don't know, I don't want to move it too much faster here. I think it happens here any second. Well, 10:30 happens, the initial balance is in, there it is. Alright, so we get this push up, and I want to show you what happens on this. A couple things that this catches my eye on. So we've got the initial balance high in right here. Kind of a weak high. We expect that to be taken just because of where we are when it happens. We, above the mid as the initial balance is done with here at 10:30. We expect the initial balance high to be taken, and we get this push up, and that happened really quickly on a lot of volume. But look at the delta, just drops off right there. Something happened here. They just a lot of orders, a lot of large lot orders um, hit the bid here, and we got some sort of a flush up, and we see this collision happen. These guys did stay in the book. This is what, 1,300 contracts. We've got let's see, what is this? Let's see what this volume is. Yeah, 1237 on that one, but we see the buyers oblige the sellers here, or the liquidity on the offer, whether they're sellers or they're longs trying to flatten their position. Either way, they wanted to participate, and they took everything there was to offer there. And as we get a chop around here, I want to see what happens to this level after we hit this liquidity. Like I said, things I'm looking for, this huge drop on the delta is interesting, even though we got a push up. That's quite a divergence, although we did take that liquidity. So I want to see what happens, and we chop around, see what else is left there for a little while, which is pretty normal, and a little bit of an extension to the high side. So now if I were dead set on getting long, or really adding on long, I don't think this would be a good entry, but in addition, I could enter here looking to scale out at the most recent high, but obviously that's not what I was looking for. But what I'm saying is I expect a collision to chop sideways, move away from it, retest, and continue, or what we saw, chop sideways, move higher, push through it. And now I'm waiting for a pullback, and I want to see what happens on the retest to 62. And I'm looking short for a couple of different reasons. One of my goals for this week actually was to just keep in the back of my mind that this driving behavior on the open often puts in an extreme, whether it's the high of the day or the low of the day. And that driving behavior being on such low volume, we haven't tested to the downside across the mid at all for this session yet. We've put in this delta divergence. All of these things are telling me I'm looking for a short. So if I see a rejection at 62, I want to get in. So there we go. We test it twice, and it starts to move away. And even on the tips here, you don't see a whole lot of action. So I'm in short right there. And I'm in short with 6 contracts, and I've got my stops above 63 at 63.25. That's basically the high of the day. We've got 36 contracts traded up there, and it's within my 8-tick range of my entry at 61.5, right? But basically if it goes up to here, I expect it to go another tick, so that's fine. And I'm hoping these guys will help me out a little bit on this liquidity if it does get up there. My scale out is set here at 60.5. And you see I moved it here for a second. And the reason for that was because I noticed I wanted to put it 1 tick ahead of the recent swing low. But even though the best bid happened at 60.25, no contracts actually traded here. So that's why I moved it up for a second, and then I said, you know what, the developing volume point of control at this moment is right here at the same level at 60.25, so I'm expecting that to get tested anyways, so that's fine. I put it back. And I lost my position in line there for a second, but that's okay. So as this is working, let me see if I've got, I didn't put any other targets in yet, which I should have done that pretty much immediately. So as soon as that happens, you know, I moved my stop down here to 62. I actually moved it down before it got to my target because it got down pretty close. And if it comes back up to this area where you see this exhaustion on the buyer side, I expect it to push through anyway. So if it gets up there again and retests this collision level / consolidation area, I expect it to push through on a third attempt. And if it's going to push through with 62, I expect it to get up there anyways and retest new highs. Especially, you know, I'm kind of cautious because of all the buying that's been happening so far throughout the day. So now I put my other targets in, and let's see. My first target is at 59, and that's not because this overnight high is here. It's because the middle of the range is currently 58.25, and I front run all my targets by 3 ticks. So there's that. This one is 3 ticks ahead of this key volume point of control area, but also the opening swing high. It's 3 ticks ahead of the opening swing high. And then my final target is 3 ticks ahead of the initial balance low for a neutral day now. Okay, and so I'm going to be looking to add on as soon as possible wherever I can. So let's play it out. I moved my stop up a little bit there. Give it a little bit of space. What was I looking at? Oh, I put it on top of this zipper instead of on top of recent swing highs. But luckily I didn't have to worry about whether that was the wrong idea or not. See, I moved it back down anyways. So that first one was taken, and now you see we've got that mid is right here. All right, that mid, like I said, was 3 ticks below here, 58.25. We tagged it now, tested down here. We've got some liquidity getting a little bit more aggressive on the bid, but I'm expecting this to fail pretty quickly. If we get a push down here, look at all of this volume that's going off. It's like a brick wall here, and as soon as you get through over that wall, I just expect there to be a lot of stops down there from everybody who got long here and here and here and here and here, and you know, even up here that they put their stops down here, whatever. You know, this is an area that's been tagged a few times, so on the next visit I expect it to fall through. So now I'm looking as it moves up for an area where I can add on, and that's at this zipper right here. And I actually drew that rectangle on in real time. Of course that doesn't show up in here, but let's see, this area right here is what I want to see tested and rejected to add on, and that's another reason this stop is where it is. So that was it. That was the test there. We got the test. We started to move lower. We pushed back down, and that's where I wanted to get in. As we moved down, it was retesting this zipper, this little consolidation area. So I pulled my order. I thought I missed it, and then it came back up through, but started to fail again. And since we had already pushed through this zipper, I knew that that wasn't an obstacle anymore. So as we rotated back down to it, I wanted in there. Boom. And I put all my stops here. And I added on with 2. So now I've got 4 short from here. And of course my initial scale out, I'm going to work ahead of the prior swing lows here. So and here we go, we're about to see that retest, and like I said, I expect a flush. I expect these to be taken pretty quickly back to back. Let's go ahead and speed it up. Actually, I don't think I got anything else on for the rest of this session, so I'll show you what I did. Okay, so there's the flush, there's the stop run that moves straight through, and there's first 3 targets are taken. I think I've got 1 left here. And I don't know why this thinks I'm long one. This is this replay mode for some reason isn't quite accurate here. But as far as mine, I know I've got 1 left short, and so I'm holding a runner. And now there's a couple things I should have done here that I did incorrectly. And the first thing that I did incorrectly was just kind of leave my stop kind of passive. And as we get this move down, this is a pretty big impulsive move down. So I'm expecting this area to see a little bit of a resistance, which is happening here right now. And the next area would be back where it came from, where it fell from, right up here. So, I mean, this is a good kind of final stop area, but I should also be putting a target in. And my next area down here would be yesterday's low a day. This overnight low is not interesting to me anymore because we've already taken out the overnight high, so that stat is gone. So I should be putting in a target at 47.75, 3 ticks ahead of the prior low of the day. And I didn't do that. That would have been basically my runner target, just in case we got down there, which we did. We tested 47.50. So I would have been filled there, and that would have been perfect. Of course, hindsight being 20/20. The other thing I could have done is right here. You see we get this rotation up, and we get a higher low. Now I could move my stop down to 50, one tick above that, because once we see a higher low and then a higher high, you expect it to continue back up and kind of in a correction, because this is the impulse move. We get the pullback and we get the continuation. So this, I mean, as soon as we see kind of a bottom on that continuation, that's gotta alert me that this could quite possibly turn around for the rest of the day. Now, of course, this is a great move, and I'm feeling greedy, so I'm leaving my stop up there. And so I didn't set a target. I didn't set a target down here. I didn't take this where I should have if I wanted to keep my stop aggressive on a higher high, higher low. Boom! As soon as we cross that other higher high for another higher high, that should have been another exit for me. But instead, all of this entire move was in vain for me because I just sat back here and waited for it to come up and knock me out. So that was the error that I made on this trade with the runner. I'm still working on, exactly what to do with the runner, but things like this video allow me to see that this was an error and give me insight as to what to do next time. So I hope that's helpful for you guys too, and see you next time. Thanks a lot.